we should have seen it coming?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was outside, met with the mayor, and my friend Antonio said, "Hannah, did you ever imagine you would see Louisville like this?" And I said, "Yeah, I did, because I think this was just going to eventually happen." So I'm not surprised at all. What does surprise me is the response for so many different races. Like, I think America, a lot of Americans are just tired of this. But I think what we saw with George Floyd was horrific. And I think that was really the straw that broke the camel's back for everyone. It was one of the most horrific videos I've ever watched. And I feel like, and I don't know why as a writer, I feel like I have to bear witness to these videos. And it's painful to watch. And someone shared a picture of it online, and I thought, well, surely this is old, or I hadn't seen this, or what is this? And when I started researching more, they said there's a video. And I thought, no, there can't be a video, because this officer was just so casually on this man. And I'm thinking, no, there's no video. What do you mean there's a video? And then to know, I mean, any amount of time is ridiculous, but then to know that it went on for so long uh, was horrific. It's a horrific way to die. And I think that was just enough, was finally enough. At what point do black people have the time to just sit and reflect? Because immediately I started getting text about there's this crowd forming in the West End and this person was shot. And I went and looked online, and I thought, if I don't go there, this will not end well. Um, so I got dressed, got my daughter, Couture and her sister, and I said, we need to go. We have to go to the West End, because we saw the police in their gear and their shields and this crowd across the street, and rightfully so angry. And I know how that ends for black people, and I didn't want it to end that way. When I talked to the mayor, I said, I didn't come to the West End for you, and I didn't come to the West End for the governor. I came to the West End to help in any way I can, because I love black people. And I don't want to see any more black people needlessly die at the hands of the police, because they're rightfully angry. I was determined that I was not leaving the West End until they picked David off the ground. And we stayed until the coroner came and they removed his body, which was there for over 14 hours. Um, but I felt like somewhere in my mind, I felt like I owed him that. You know, I told the mayor, you brought this to his door. He's doing nothing. He's doing what he would do any night, barbecuing and living his life. And he's not that he's not concerned with what was going on downtown, but his focus is, I'm up here doing what I do every day, cooking, and I'm not in any of this protesting and the tear gassing and the rubber bullet. Like, I'm not involved in any of that. What I'm involved is doing what I do every day. And when I told the mayor, that came to his door, and it didn't have to. And I believe that had that not been brought into the West End, he would probably still be alive today. And I just think we owed that community better than what we gave them that day and what we've always given them. Like, what do we do now? And I'm always going to be a person that I feel as a writer, my job is to just reflect America back to America. And I tell people, what you, to me, need to do is, me and you get it. Go talk to the people that don't get it. Because there are people right now in this city that have this perception of the protest and why we are protesting, and believe that this is a bad thing. And I tell them that you are in circles I will never be in. And it's your job to explain this to them and have them self-reflect. If people pause and think, we had Trayvon and Mike Brown and Sandra Bland. So we had two men and then a woman. that died at the hands of police. And now here we are again, you know, two men and a woman that have. So are we going to get it right this time? Louisville has a history of playing the middle. You know, when you talk about the Civil War, no, we weren't Confederate, and we really were Union, and we weren't. We kind of, you know, Louisville and Kentucky as a whole can no longer play the fence. Now it's not the time to be lukewarm. You're either going to be hot or you're either going to be cold. It's one or the other at this point. When I went to the lynching museum, I know a lot of people spoke about the governor being hung in effigy, and I said, you know, people in Kentucky actually lynch black people, not mannequins of black people. When I went to the lynching museum, in order to be in the museum, your state had to lynch over 100 people. Well, Kentucky is proudly in that museum. Kentucky lynched over 100 people, and they have so much history with racism, and Kentucky sold black people down the river. That's why people say that. They sold them right down the Ohio River. And so to pretend like this didn't happen is a farce. And I think Kentucky needs to reconcile with its history. That's why we are where we are today. Martin Luther King said it so well, we are inescapably intertwined. So people out in the summit, or you're in the East End, or you're wherever you're at, and you think, this will never be at my doorstep, but it will. This will happen to you. Nobody is immune from this. And people always think it's not going to affect them. And you need to care about things in this city and this state and this nation before it affects you, because I promise you, it will eventually come to your doorstep.
Do you have hope?
I do have hope, but not for my lifetime. I don't think I am keenly aware that I'm fighting for something. I'll be dead before I'll see it. Same way Martin Luther King said. Not like I'm Martin Luther King, I'm not saying. But for him to say, you know, I've been to the mountaintop and may not get there with you, you know I may not get there with you. My daughter was telling me she's 24 and she started protesting when Mike Brown died, and she said that was 2000. She may have said Trayvon Martin, 2006. And she said that's almost a third of my life already, that she's doing the very same thing. So my dad protested. My dad's from Louisville. He protested here. Now here I am protesting. And now my daughter, so it's 3 generations now that we have, right? And so when my daughter's child comes along, will they be doing the very same thing? I hope not, but I'm convinced that I won't live to see anything that I'm fighting for. So I'm just trying to lay a foundation for the next generation to build upon.